as I have been contemplating for a while now, you know, trying to come up with an idea of how to communicate properly this idea, and I'm sure maybe somebody's thought of this before, but what came into my mind was the art of being human and what that actually looks like to most people. It would be interesting to find out. The first thought that came to me was Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? And what would, and this crazy test of what would it be like to strip away all of those needs, like to satisfy any of those needs. What would a person do? What would happen to them, right? You know, the basics, stripping them from their basics. And what would be the result? It might be similar as to doing research on Holocaust survivors. It probably would be the same thing with them. Some of them thrive, but you know, they're not without their learned experiences, right? They will forever be and have been changed because of what happened to them. As it is with any trauma victim, any of them. And you can heal and you can achieve some sort of homeostasis at some point once healing has occurred and a feeling of safety is achieved. But whoever has endured something like that will be forever changed. So let's look at that. Hold on. All right. What Maslow's theory was self-actualization, or morality, creativity, spontaneity, problem solving, lack of prejudice, acceptance of facts. Acceptance of facts. I like that. Esteem, self-confidence, achievement, respect of others, respect for others, and respect by others, I would add. Love, belonging, friendships, family, sexual intimacy, and safety, security of body, employment, resources, morality, the family, health, property, physiologically, breathing, food, water, sex, sleep, homeostasis. Those are the hierarchy of basic needs that everybody should have a right to. I suppose that if you are a population that has been deprived of these things, you might have a different mentality, I imagine, especially if it was occurring over a long period of time. It would take a long time to truly achieve that homeostasis where you felt calm. You know, it's no different than a soldier going to Vietnam and coming back with trauma. And how do they handle that? And you know, there's therapy and all that, but when you come back and the support is so minimal, it's probably harder to reach that homeostasis truly because you're still living, you know, some trauma events from, you know, post-traumatic stress from a long time, from before, right? And now they even suggest that we're carrying trauma from previous ancestors in our DNA, which is possible. Because if we are in a trauma state and we're having children, does it not, you know, send, you know, energetic impressions of, it would be no different than a mother being pregnant and smoking cigarettes because she's nerve-wracked all the time, you know. Somehow there must be something that passes the brain-blood barrier into that child. I don't know for sure, of course, because, you know, I'm not a doctor, I don't know. But I do know that abuse is harmful in any of its forms. You know, this testing that's gone on In my opinion, you know, it was just heartbreaking. And the thing is that it's very difficult for me to pretend like they weren't serious. I mean, it wasn't really a test. No, it was more like, God, we got to get rid of this person because she's going to find out what we did, right? And that's why they want to remove me, because they don't want me to find out, you know, what the real motivation was destroy that woman, you know, before she finds out, right? And so when you consider that it was like a real war, not a fake one, but a real one, okay, against my life and my well-being, and to completely exploit, destroy all of my hierarchy of needs, okay? Okay, I'm just saying that's how it was presented. By removing police protection, by people that I cared for, you know, wanting me to be heartbroken and to want to just kill and destroy so that we can get what belongs to her and not tell her the truth about everything. Because even though they said that they were religious, most people that really do have that, you know, that feeling of doing what's right and doing what's wrong, they don't compromise. I mean, when it comes to really serious stuff, they don't compromise that, you know. They don't think, well, what can we get away with and not, you know, because, you know, once I went to a therapist, and she was telling me that when someone is living outside of their own belief system, no matter what it is, there's always some sort of emotional conflict that all of us, you know, if we believe something and we, it's very hard to change those core beliefs. And maybe a lot of times, some of those core beliefs must be changed. But if you have a basic core belief where you believe in being, you know, good to your neighbor, you believe in some sound, good principles, you know, then if you're living outside those core beliefs, you're always going to be in perpetual emotional conflict. You're always going to be in a state of guilt. You're always going to be, you know, in a feeling probably of hiding and not being forthcoming, you know, because you've already done this stuff, you know what I mean? You know, so you can't say you're one thing and really do another and have it just perpetually go on that way for a very long period of time without anybody noticing, would be my point. And so, okay, let's go back to the testing aspect of it, right? Okay, let's say we take a subject. Let's consider him a subject, okay? Because I'm not human. I don't know if you knew that, but they didn't see me as human. So, okay, it doesn't matter what we do to this one, right? Be honest. Okay, so will they survive if we take away all of their needs? You know, if Maslow's theory is correct, will this person survive? Okay. Well, they took quality of life, pushed me out of the house, 2 of them, took away my vehicle, tried to take away, they sent Doge after my SSDI. They did try to do everything to hurt me, right? Knowing, I mean, I'd been put into some really precarious medical situations that I could really look forward to finding out more about, because if they could do it to me, you know, of course they could do it to you. And it really behooves all of us that we have, you know, truth amongst all of these troublesome decisions that people are making out there in the world. Okay, so let's say that we take away all of these core needs, right? These core needs that every one of us have as human beings, because, you know, I mean, we could go back to the Indians, or we could camp all the time and we would still be okay. We'd find a way to, you know, to hunt and to fish and to plant and to, you know, create fire and go back to those days. We would still survive it. It wouldn't be in luxury, and we'd smell like smoke and be dirty most of the time. We'd have to dig a hole to go to the bathroom, and there's certain things that, you know, we take for granted every day. But yes, we could survive without a house over our head. But we'd still need food and water and air to breathe. You know, so fortunately, I was able to still find food, even though they wanted me to be homeless. The people that came after me, because they wanted to steal from me, they didn't want me to have anything at all. Not even at all. The hatred was so immense The hatred and the jealousy was over the top. And then so to come back and actually speak on anything but the truth makes it really hard for me, because, you know, I know that I didn't do anything to deserve that treatment. It was like, what the hell's going on with you people? This is crazy. But no, they wanted to, and then they wanted to write this story, you know, of homelessness and, you know, drug addictions, prostitution, things about me that are absolutely not true. And then circle back around and then say how they saved me and that they're the heroes in this dastardly, evil test. We're going to take away all of her civil rights, all of her human rights. We're going to come into her house. We're going to take stuff out so that we can do some hocus pocus on her stuff, right? You know, and then the police are going to get on it. They're going to make her life hell. Because, no, if she wakes up and finds out what we did, we're all doomed. All right? You know, and so, okay, and believe me, you know, I understand your fear, but, you know, if we don't stand for something, we stand for anything. Isn't that what you guys have told me, right? And so, so what happens? Okay, so we know that without, you know, a roof over our head, and we have enough homeless people that know, you know, you can survive if you must, sometimes even in the wintertime. You can wrap themselves up in a tarp. And some of them, they don't even want to be saved, you know. They've gotten used to their lifestyle so much, you know, I guess they like to live outside that situation, but it's really hard for them to find any place to go. And now to think that people that are homeless are going to be persecuted in any way for being homeless in the first place, you know, it's like, how is that really helping them? I don't know. It isn't helping them. It's teaching them nothing by abusing people that are already downtrodden. Ugh. I wouldn't want to be in your group. No. Okay, let's moving right along. Okay, so let's say they survive after a personal war, a personal attack by everybody that they loved or respected or depended upon, whether it be in government, family, church, country, the whole thing, all of it, right? Let's say, for instance, that you yourselves went through something like that. Okay, and you've survived it. What are the consequences, truly? Not faking it, not to appease somebody's agenda saying, I'm going to make you stronger. No. You know? Or to say, you survived, so that means I'm right. No. Because each person inside of themselves, they have a different dial inside of them. Some have a strong will to live. And maybe because of the way someone's raised or the spirit that they were born with, maybe their will to live isn't as strong as someone else. And that's why the stronger ones have to protect the weaker ones. We don't want to destroy humanity for the sake of an arrogant few. Do you hear me? No. Okay. So, let's say, you know, you survive. What are the consequences of that brutal, traumatic experience, especially losing love and support from people that knew better, that had no love in their heart? They just wanted to come at you and know they wanted you to die. And they were willing to hire somebody with MK Ultra to do everything they could so that you would die. That's what we're saying here. And the heartbreak, the disappointment that friends, family, community, church, anybody, and to even your own country would ever do such a terrible thing to anyone for any reason. To sign their name on a contract to do something like that. To make money off of a reality TV show. CCTV. And all of it would be to swing it back around, right? And say, oh, we helped you. Because of you, you survived. No, you didn't do anything to help me survive, and you know you didn't. I can't fake that. I can't. You really didn't want to get caught for what you did. You meant everything you did. I have to accept that you did. And somehow I'll go along and, and I won't always, I will, it has nothing to do with whether, I'll forgive you for myself, but there's certain things that you just can't unknow. And but I don't want to live my life being upset. So no, I can't stay in that, mindset, that's for sure. But it's not even a mindset, it's feelings. Human beings, we're emotional beings. And, I can heal. I can. But somebody was saying, but the scars, they're there. They're scared. They're there. And they say, oh, where you have a fracture, it gets stronger than the first bone, and blah, blah, blah. But a child, that you would want to go out and ride a bike and fall off and get stronger and get back on the bike and go again. That's one concept. But you wouldn't want to train a child to ride a bicycle in the middle of a freeway. And that would be the difference, right? Because we want them to get up and learn again. We don't want them to actually get killed, right? So, what is too much, right? What is too much? So I ask you, it's just the outcome of going through traumatic events is a type of post-traumatic stress that I don't recommend for anyone. Because some people, you might say, well, now they're going to be really tough, really strong. You know what? And maybe they will seem to be. But deep down inside, they will be wounded. They can pretend all they like. But forever, they will be wounded. They might not be able to trust anyone ever again, right? Or allow themselves to really feel love and connection on that level ever again. But they're going to go out there and just be happy that they're a rock star and that they were tough and got through it. And yet their personal lives, which matter so much more than fame, they are dysfunctional forever from beyond then. And then somebody wants to say, well, they're an alpha male now. But they have no ability to be sensitive and to trust that intimacy with anyone. Not really. There's always going to be, and then they say, well, that's better because, this is a really dangerous world. And it is. But you should never trust anybody too much, Treva, ever again. It'll keep you safer. And maybe, but to live your whole life without having a real, solid, loving connection because everybody that you knew betrayed you. And now you will never again have even a thermostat, barometer, nothing, no way to tell when you're safe for sure and when you're not, because safe is just a mask. If safety is just a mask, how can you ever have the full joy of life knowing that there is nobody in this world you can trust? Is that truly how you want to live? Having an experience like that and knowing that you could never trust anyone on that level ever again. And so whoever comes into your life next, they're going to be getting the deficit of you. They're not getting a better you. They're getting a deficit because you will be forever untrusting and unwilling to truly give your heart to someone because you have been so burned by every single person that you have ever known, starting from your parents to your next door neighbor. That is not the world that I want to live in. That is not the kind of psychological concepts that I want to embrace. I think that is just evil. It's evil and it's wrong. People by nature need that nurturing and need that love to be able to develop properly. Yes, that they do need to ride a bike on the sidewalk, fall and skin their knees. That's fine. But when you put somebody in literal harm's way, literally in their physical life, in their physical town, and they're out and you're having them learn how to ride that bike on the freeway, you have no interest in their survival at all. Okay? You can't just say, let's fear, and no. Okay, and again, it's not like I have a negative attitude, and I'm telling you this in a very analytical way, as best I can, in what you call my rudimentary education. I am smart enough to know and educated enough to know what is right, what is wrong, what is healthy, what is not. And I can't fake it. Okay? I can't fake it. And I don't need to change my core beliefs of what is the most practical and emotional and in every way nurturing to my fellow man, in general speaking, right? What is good for the human soul? And it's not what you're being taught by some arrogant assholes. It's wrong. Because even if you survive it, and you chances are you will, how are you going to turn out? Will you truly be able to trust anyone ever again? Because I've heard it come out, it's like, don't trust anyone. Don't give your emotions to anyone because they will let you down every single time. And even saying those words are programming you. If you are the kind of person that has been told that over and over again, you're going to believe it. And not only are you going to get relationships like that, you're going to become the person that betrays someone. I don't need to fake it to tell you what my, my assessment of this test is. It was based on concepts that are cruel and unfair and traumatizing somebody. If it can be avoided, must be. Because we want people out there that they're tough, yes, but we also want people out there that actually remember what it is to nurture and to love and to feel and to have your feelings. Because if you're so beaten down that you no longer have your feelings, where do you think we're heading as a species? I assure you, it's something to really consider. This is my assessment of what was done. I look forward to having it, complete, because no one deserves it. And I absolutely don't deserve it. And I don't care, and I'm not like this. I'm not so hyper religious that I'm off balance, because we also learn that people that rely too heavily on religion and they don't have this proper balance, go a little wacko. And so I also noticed through this experiment that the people that said that they were of God paid the devils. They paid tarot readers or encouraged tarot readers to come after me. And so it wasn't really a fight between good and evil. It was evil and evil. It was evil under the guise of God and the evil of those that are evil and they tell you that they are. You know what I'm saying? So it really wasn't a fair fight from good and evil at all, because it was all evil. And so that was really the war I was up against. It wasn't, what side is she going to pick, God or the devil? When they all are the devil. And I leave that with you, because that's exactly what happened. But we will move on from here. You will. Those that were traumatized will be different from now on. And there's no way that I would let people that would harm me this way ever do that again. No. Of course not. Don't lose your humanity. Don't lose your feelings. You don't want to lose your feelings. The world it's tough enough as it is. You don't need to remove everything that makes living worthwhile. And that's what you've done. You've made every reason worth living tainted in some way. That isn't the life I want. Not for me, not for my kids. Be good to each other.